So in this video, I'll be reviewing the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Just I was gonna say spoiler-free review. It's not really a book you spoil, I guess, but just quick upfront review. This is a really good book. It reads quite fast. It's like an enjoyable read, but I also feel like it's quite practical and useful. However, some of the stuff you might feel is a little bit obvious or a little bit you've known it before. However, it is presented in a nice way, and perhaps you gain some extra insight from seeing it presented in this way with these examples. If I were to criticize the book in any way, I'd say it doesn't really cite any studies, it doesn't have any big science behind it, rather it's all anecdotal. However, all the stuff sort of lines up with my personal perspectives on this sort of thing. So yeah, that's the quick spoiler-free review. So if we get into the actual, I say spoiler-free review, I mean the quick summary review. So to get into the actual meat and potatoes of a review, this book is really well written, and I really enjoy the anecdotes. So the way it's structured is that it's into four main sections, and each section is broken down into these principles. So be interested in people, remember people's names, talk in terms of what the other person is interested in, listen to the other person, don't talk so much. All these sort of broken down into these subheadings, and each of those gets maybe a few pages, 5 or 6 pages, something like that, and they're each justified by or backed up by a few interesting anecdotes, and they're each explained in different ways, and give different examples are given. And I think the structure really works really well. It makes it read quite fast, and it makes it you be able to sort of remember these concepts quite easily, because they're they're phrased in these sort of buzz phrases. I was actually writing some of them down because I listened to this book. I was just writing some of them down as I listened, just because I wanted to sort of refer back to the list later. So yeah, this book gives you lots of sort of interesting information about how to interact with people, and the best way to get positive interactions out of people in order to achieve both your goals and their goals. And that's a big theme of this book, is the idea that most interactions aren't zero-sum, so to speak. Most interactions, both candidates, both parties can win and come out better. And that's a big theme of this book, and I think it achieves that goal, so to speak, quite well, where it sort of presents different ways to ensure positive interactions with people. Like I said at the start, my biggest criticism for this book would be twofold. First of all, it's kind of quite a boomer book, so to speak. So a lot of the anecdotes are really dated. It's like talking about automobile manufacturers and stuff. And so that means it doesn't quite land maybe as hard as it would have, but it's still enjoyable, and anecdotes still work. They just might not land as effectively. So that's one problem. And then the other problem I'd say is that all of the stuff is justified by anecdote. There's no science here at all, no studies or big scientific presentation of scientific ideas. So that might turn you off a little bit. However, I think that criticism isn't too big of a deal, because all of the stuff here makes sense, and it's all relatively common sense. But then you might ask, well, why bother reading the book? But I think the idea is that it puts it all in one place, and it justifies it, and it just presents to you these ideas which you kind of knew already, mostly. Maybe you didn't, depending some of the stuff I hadn't thought about before, and just present it to you in a new way, which allows you to remember it and perhaps just sort of apply these principles in your own life. And the other thing about this book is it's short. It's not going to take you long to chug through, whether you listen to it or read it. So you're going to be able to get through it, get some of the stuff you want out of it, and then go on with your day, and hopefully have some more tools in your arsenal for dealing with people of all sorts. And so this book is it's quite good in that way, because it gives you ways to interact with people at different sort of levels. Whether you want an informal or formal relationship with them. The one problem I would have with this book is it's quite leadership-based. So if you are not in a leadership position, you might find that some of the stuff doesn't really work for you, because you need to be in a leadership position to do it. So that might make some of it fall flat for you, but most of it is still pretty useful regardless of what position you are in. So yeah, I would strongly recommend this book. I found it quite enjoyable, and that's the other thing. It's educational, but it's also just enjoyable. I just had a good listen. It was fun. So it's an enjoyable book. It's quick. It's punchy. It gives you stuff that you maybe already knew, but in a new, interesting way, and some stuff you didn't know. And it's just a useful educational book. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough, and I hope you pick it up. Have a great day.